Hey everyone, once again, welcome back for another episode of Who Are They Real Talk. As always, I am Matt, and joining me today is Nick. Where's Nick?
Hey everybody.
He really went through with that. Oh God. But Nick in Ohio, at least, I know the same is not to be said in Indiana, but in Ohio, we have been a little bit more lenient on our social distancing now, and they're letting us do gatherings and everything. So Nick's family is at our house for a cookout. So yeah,
we tested it. I think you probably mentioned that. We tested the microphone without or in the same room. It did not work out the way that we wanted it to.
No, it did not, but I didn't mention that.
Oh. So I'm the basement.
Yes. But also joining us today is the one and the only Toby Barkwell.
What's going on?
Watching the match in the background.
Yeah, and I'm not at your house. I'm at my house where I've been stuck for the last 3 months.
Yeah, I know you're getting driven crazy. I've seen the tweets.
Oh yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. Like, I'm watching golf, which I love golf anyway, but it's the only sport that's really been on since this whole thing has happened. It's not even like a real event. Like, it's just for charity and everything. And it's been really entertaining to watch. But we need real sports back, like especially basketball. Like, watching The Last Dance got me so hyped to watch basketball again.
I still haven't finished it.
Oh, you haven't finished it? Oh shoot. Yeah. The last episode is really good.
See, I can't get past episode 5. Like, Jordan's an asshole.
I didn't pick up that vibe. I picked that up as he's just a competitor. Like, he just wants to win by any means necessary.
I'm kind of on the Scotty side, where I felt like that entire doc, everything I saw so far was him throwing Scotty under a bus.
I don't think so. I mean, he had his own issues with the team. Like, he just wanted to get paid. He was the third best player probably in the Eastern Conference, arguably in the league, and he was getting paid like a bench player. Like, he had every right to want to sit out.
Yeah.
6 years, what is it, like 18 or something like that?
7 years, 17 million or something like that.
Yeah,
still, it's like terrible. I mean,
but also Michael was the guy who was he was making like 90% of his team's cap. So there's that.
You could argue he was getting underpaid too.
I mean,
you can, but
you can argue LeBron gets underpaid. It's just the truth.
Well, I mean, adjusted for inflation, I guess, and a guy like that's probably going to make all of his money back. But LeBron at least gets his guys paid.
Yes.
That's why we're stuck with Tristan Thompson's contract. I guess not anymore.
Tristan was playing well this year. I don't want to hear Jack.
I know.
And also, last but not least, joining us is the one and the only Chris Anthony Lopez.
Is this the part where I pop in the Matt's camera too?
Okay, cool.
If
you'd like to, I mean, if that's the case, you are even lower than I am, and I'm in the basement. So,
yes, I'm literally by like half an inch of water. Like, it's like right there. I'm looking at it. We had bad rain in Northwest Indiana, and it's been awful. Really, really awful.
Yeah, it skipped over Ohio today. It was supposed to be raining all day, and then it ended up being clear and perfect ass day.
Yeah,
which is why we're gonna have a fire afterwards.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not as bad as Scottie Pippen's 8-year, $19 million contract. That's pretty bad too.
He fact checked it for us. I appreciate that.
Oh no, I think I remember, because Scottie Pippen's my favorite Bull of all time.
You got to remember, he lives close to Chicago. That's
you're
like
right.
Yeah, I got Bull stuff all over the place. I'm not going to turn my laptop before I expose how dirty my room is. But no, The Last Dance was also great. I finished it as well, and it's pretty freaking good. Episode 9 was one of my favorite episodes that they had in its entire stretch.
The end of episode 8, where Jordan goes on that, like, not a little rant. Yeah, Michael Jordan's in The Last Dance.
Real life.
But the end of episode 8, he talks about, and he starts breaking down into tears about like why he competed the way he did. And that just really resonated with me. And I think episode 8 is probably my favorite episode just because of that ending. It really got me pumped. Like, I wanted to go run. Like, after watching the episode, I'm just going to go on a little run because I was so hyped.
Yeah, Last Dance is great. Finish it, Matt. It's really, really good.
It's hard when you don't like the person it's about.
Start it.
And I get it. And the first few episodes painted Jordan as a jerk, and all of his teammates that were interviewed were like, yeah, he's the worst. But at the same time, I kind of understood where he was coming from. Like, if everyone around you isn't trying as hard as you want to, and you're Michael freaking Jordan, of course you're going to try to push them. And they were pushed enough to win
but
6
he's not the
titles
GOAT.
in 8 years. That's nuts.
He's not the GOAT.
Yes, he is.
No,
No one's had the influence in sports like Michael Jordan since
Pause. What?
Muhammad Ali.
LeBron, without a doubt, has. But we're not talking about this.
No,
Wait,
we might as well. Don't even get me started. I mean, the
Kobe,
USA.
I'd put Kobe above LeBron in regards to influence.
We're talking about global
He
influence.
opened a
Yes.
freaking school.
Global influence.
great.
Yes, it's Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant.
Michael inspired decades worth of African American people, not even basketball players.
LeBron's educating and inspiring youth of the
If
African.
LeBron's not teaching people at this school, I get it. Like, he paid for it. That's incredible. Like, that's honestly great. But if I had millions upon millions of dollars, I'd probably build a school too. That doesn't make me as influential as Muhammad Ali or Michael Jordan.
Connor, come in here. Have my back.
No, because we're about to slit each other's throats with this Snyder Cut thing, and I really don't want to.
I don't think we're gonna slit each other's throats. But
okay, cool. Because I have a lot of things to say about that.
Oh, you and me both, son.
I'm sure we all do.
That's why we're here.
But yeah,
That's why we're here. Not the last
thank
dance.
you. Hashtag more than an athlete.
Michael was more than an athlete. He was
No,
paid
Michael-
by, like, McDonald's.
That doesn't mean he's more than an
Coca-Cola,
athlete.
Gatorade.
Inspired Gatorade. He had food poisoning. The food poisoning game, not the flu game.
The
You
NBA
learned
would not
so
be
much
a
in that
global.
doc.
The NBA would not be a global game without Michael Jordan and the USA Olympic team from 1992.
Don't mute me. Don't mute me.
I'm just messing with you.
All right, let's talk about Justice League.
Well, yeah. So, by the way, LeBron's gonna fucking kick some alien ass in Space Jam too. Just gotta say that. Go.
And guess what? That wouldn't happen without Michael Jordan. Oh my God, he was an actor.
LeBron was an actor before Jordan. Just saying.
When Space Jam come out? 95, 96?
I'm not talking about
LeBron was in middle school when that movie came out.
Age, not.
Lord, you need to cool it. Stop being a stan.
Please. Just like you are right now.
Start a hashtag and maybe LeBron will actually be considered better than Jordan, just like how the Snyder Cut actually became a thing. I keep tying it back. Let's talk about this movie now. Let's go.
Yeah, so Chris is clearly excited. We got a decent show for you tonight. We're going to talk all things Snyder Cut, our expectations, what we hope, what we think's going to happen, predictions, all that, and talk about some of the news that has come out in the coming days about the Snyder Cut since. So, yeah. And then Nick and I are going to give you a little review of DC Universe's new show, STARGIRL.
I watched that this morning.
Yeah. So did I.
Oh, there's a comment there that you should definitely post. You look handsome too, Taylor. Sorry.
It's cute.
I've also been live commenting along with this show as well, so you know.
Last one for Connor.
And that's great. Those are all facts. All facts.
Let's talk some movies, boys.
Yes, let's talk.
Yeah,
let's talk some movies. It's been a really interesting time. But this week, there's only one thing we really could talk about. It is the Snyder Cut. Some fan demands and all that were finally realized, and yeah, I'm gonna be honest right away. I'm split on it, because I've already looking at the effect I've seen in just fan communities in general since its announcement has just made me hate fandom and hurt things that I personally care about. Because
Star Wars Detours would be great. It's made by the people who made Robot Chicken. Oh, sorry. Were you not talking about that?
No. But it's just after Sonic and this, and there was another instance that I can't ping right now. It's just I'm torn about all this news. I'm gonna go to Toby first. Toby, how you feeling about this?
All right, so let's set the stage real quick, right? So the first original Justice League came out a couple of years ago, and the reaction was not very positive, at least amongst critics and fans, diehard fans at least. I enjoyed it for what it was. I've seen it a couple of times since I watched it in theaters, and I still think it's an okay watch. It's not my favorite. Man of Steel is still my favorite if we're talking about the DCEU. But anyway, people after that movie came out, they're like, man, this is not enough. They weren't satisfied. They didn't like it. They didn't engage with what was presented to them. So they decided, okay, there's an alternate cut out there somewhere, because we had heard rumblings and rumors that Snyder had a cut that was either finished or not finished. We still didn't really know. And they're like, okay, we're going to make this happen. We're going to make sure that this cut gets released. And so the last couple of years, the hashtags, the videos, the tweets, like it's been all over the place, people trying to get this movie to see the light of day. I was one of those people who didn't think it would ever happen because, number one, I didn't think a cut existed. I didn't think that there was just this alternate movie that they could just release, by a decision by Warner Brothers. I didn't think that would happen. And it still seems to be the case that there was never a cut, because it's going to take them the next year or so to put all the finishes and stuff now that they've decided that they are going to release it on HBO Max. And in terms of, the fanboys and the, people who are really pushing this thing to get released, I'm on the side where I just don't like people getting rewarded for bad behavior, right? It's one of those things where growing up, like if I was at the grocery store and I was being just a jerk and an a-hole begging for a toy, my mom was not going to get me a toy. That's just, we did not reward bad behavior growing up. So when I see a bunch of fans crying online, boo-hooing because the Justice League that they watched, they didn't enjoy, the fact that they were trying to get a new one made by the director who had to leave due to really some awful circumstances, the fact that they were just ignoring the fact that the original Justice League came out in the first place and that they just would not accept that movie as a reality. I don't like that. The fact that they're getting rewarded for that, we're already seeing other people following in the same footsteps. You see people talking about, release the Ayer cut. David Ayer has a cut of Suicide Squad out there. That's got to get released. You see Star Wars fans talking about the JJ cut, which was something that was brought up a few months ago. And now you see people like, release the Trevorrow animation from the script that got leaked. You got so many fans now thinking, if they can do it, then we can too. And they're going to listen to us because, money talks. And Warner Brothers saw that, if we can put this alternate cut on HBO Max, that's going to make people want to subscribe to HBO Max, which is a brilliant idea. I think the idea to put it out is brilliant on their part. And I'm happy for Zack Snyder because I'm a Zack Snyder fan. But in terms of the fans, I don't like them being rewarded because it's one of those things where you give them this and they're just going to want more, and they're going to want more, and they're going to want more. And so I'm almost in the camp where I don't want this movie to be good. So that way they can all sit back and be like, man, we wasted 2 years of our life to get this thing made, and we finally saw it, and it still wasn't up to par. Maybe that'll teach them a lesson to just, if you don't like something that, is presented to you, then just move on. Like, go find something else. Don't fight for something that may or may not even exist.
Yeah, Kobe. I called you Kobe. Oh my god,
Kobe.
Yeah, Toby, you kind of like hit what I'm feeling on the head, because I feel like fans are being rewarded for bad behavior, and I also feel like this joke that that DC made on the Harley Quinn show did not age well. Like this still I'm about to show is literally from an episode 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Oh God.
And those two characters were some giant tools. Like the guy wearing the Snyder Cut shirt was a sexist, misogynistic pig. So and that was something I was telling Connor, because Connor had seen the joke that I'm referring to. It's like, yeah, that joke does not age well at all. So, but no, I agree. It's being rewarded for bad behavior, and that's my huge issue with it. Because, like you, I'm seeing the Star Wars fans being like, "Oh, give us an animated version of Trevorrow's film," which I've read the script. It's not that good. People are basing what they want for it off of the concept art we got. It's not a good film, and we'll show you that soon, because we're going to do one of our table reads for it. So, and
it's because they didn't like episode 9, right? Yeah. It's like if everyone liked the Rise of Skywalker, they wouldn't be begging for another version of it. The only reason the Snyder Cut exists is because people didn't like Justice League in the first place.
Disney doesn't care, though. Disney's not going to do anything about that. And I think I was watching Dan Merle's video about it earlier, or John Campia's, something like that. They were like, listen, Disney there's so much meddling behind the scenes with Disney, but the issue is that their movies are a success. You know, even if people don't necessarily like them, is that they don't care what you think. I think Warner Brothers is kind of backed into a corner where they need something, especially for that streaming service, to, you know, I mean, they were like, oh, Joker's going to be on there. They announced a lot of media that isn't, I mean, but they announced the Green Lantern show and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong.
I was about to say, you got the Green Lantern show, the exclusive place to watch Looney Tunes and prep for Space Jam.
Right. But I think that pushed it over the limit, was putting this forward. You know, they're going to, I was talking about it with your dad beforehand, and he was like, listen, if they could get 1 million people to sign up for this service, boom, and this movie is going to be hyped like crazy, I'm sure. So, and
it's probably going to get a Netflix treatment where it's only, if you want to watch it, it's only going to be available on.
Right. Exactly.
And if you look at how much they're putting into this thing, what, $30 to $40 million?
30 million. They're expecting millions of subscribers off of it without a doubt.
That's pocket change for them. That could just be some short independent movie that would originally be their launch, but now they're launching it with a movie that a whole lot of people have been begging for, and so the profit's gonna turn over. So, like I said before, it's a great business decision by Warner Brothers to put this thing out. I just don't like the fact that the fans are getting what they wanted, because it's not gonna be enough. It's never enough.
Chris, I know you've been prepping. All right.
Okay. So first of all, there's a great point that was made. I think Toby or Matt, one of you guys said it. It was if Justice League, and to reply to Connor's messages in the Facebook chat, if Justice League had made the money that DC expected them to, obviously we would not be seeing this movie. It's not about the artistic vision that was initially behind it. It's about the money that was brought into the studio. It was a disappointing number, and it's fact. Granted, it made money. It made some. It wasn't Avengers type of money. Nowhere near it. It didn't crack $1 billion, which is crazy to think that a standalone Joker movie that has nothing to do with Batman made more money than Justice League, the most famous super team on the face of the earth. So that A is a thing. B, this is going to set an awful precedent for director's cuts going forward. We're already seeing stuff with David Ayer. He's like, yo, release the Ayer cut, baby. There's some Joker stuff you did not get to see in Suicide Squad. I want to show that to you guys. Okay, cool. Hey, Warner Brothers, if you guys are going to do this for Justice League, why not do it for Suicide Squad? I want to see that too. So if I do the hashtag, does that mean we're going to do Suicide Squad as well? Paul Feig, I know this might be Warner Brothers still. Paul Feig said there's a 3.5-hour cut of that Ghostbusters movie that he did.
That's Sony, but yeah.
Well, still, it's like, yo, okay, cool. I want to see that. I like that Ghostbusters movie. So if I supply to the hashtag, does that mean we're going to get it eventually from Sony? But like, so what? It's going to be bad going forward, because now essentially every filmmaker will almost be they're going to be rewarded with a director's cut that will come out years after the original does. And yeah, it's going to be cool, and I cannot wait to see it. Yeah, no one does complain about those cuts. You're right. No one complains about them. But my thing is, I'm excited for it. I'm obviously going to watch it because I like Justice League. I'll be the first person to say that. I like the movie that we got. Was I disappointed? Yes. Oh my God, yes. But I still liked what we got. And we're not going to get any more of this universe. So we're just going to show Darkseid. You're going to give the fans what they want. And it's never going to be addressed ever again. We're never going to get the follow-up to this.
No, because apparently there's some rumblings that depending on how this does, we could see a sequel and bring back Snyder.
Are you joking, though? We're going to have two Batmans running at the same time, as if it's already not confusing enough that
we already have two Jokers running at the same time.
We're not going to get a sequel to this Joker that Todd Phillips is doing. At least it won't be Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix, as far as I'm concerned. So what's the gimmick?
Money talks, though. Money talks.
Money does talk. You're right. And no one
won an Oscar. It won multiple Oscars.
To make $1 billion either.
Right. So,
but I think
if they want it, they're going to get it.
Justice League property is already tainted. It's already tainted, and I can't. I mean, I'm with Toby. I kind of want this thing to be not good.
Yeah, it is tainted, but at the same time, it isn't, because you had people love Aquaman, you have people love Wonder Woman, and excited for that. If
those people didn't go out and see Justice League though, and the box office proves that.
you could argue those people did see it, but there wasn't the repeat viewings like there was with Aquaman. Like I know I saw Aquaman like 4 or 5 times in theaters. I saw Shazam twice. I saw Wonder Woman for my previous screening, but that still made money regardless.
But you have to also understand, if HBO Max was not a thing, then the Snyder Cut would not be a thing. You can always point and be like, oh, it was the fans that did it. The fans won, right? And they did. But if HBO Max wasn't a thing, it's not like that they would release the Snyder Cut in theaters. Like, heck no. Like, that would not be worth their time, effort, or money.
And this brings me to one of the things we're going to talk about. It's supposed to be a 4-hour cut that might be split into 6 episodes.
4 hours?
4 hours that might get it split into 6 episodes. 6 parts.
So, because I know when they first announced Zack Snyder to be doing Justice League years ago, it was supposed to be 2 films. That was the plan from the beginning. We're supposed to get 2 movies back-to-back years, and it was going to be nuts, right? It was going to be like what Infinity War and Endgame were. And it was super exciting to the fans. And then we got the Justice League that we got, the Joss Whedon cut, I guess, if we're putting names to it. And it was disappointing. It was underwhelming. And then Warner Brothers just was like, nah, fam, we're done with all of this. Wonder Woman already had a movie in production, so we're just going to keep that one going. We're going to try and do Aquaman 2, but in regards to making sequels to this movie with these exact characters, we're not going to do that. Henry Cavill went to The Witcher, and we haven't seen my man wear red and blue since.
There's
Ben Affleck's not even as Batman.
Finally happening. And if you didn't see Connor's last thing,
what outlets are saying this? That's the thing. I'm not going to believe anything I see on Facebook or Twitter.
AT&T tweeted something about it, but I don't think it was saying another movie.
Yeah, the idea that Ben Affleck would come back to play Batman, I think, is ludicrous. Like, playing Batman almost killed him. Like, he was a bad alcoholic, and the reason that he stepped away from Batman is because of the stress and everything.
Well, the stress
that was coming along with
and
it.
reaction to the 2 Snyder films.
Yeah, so, I mean, the reaction to Batman versus Superman. Like, you remember the meme of him sitting there during the interview? He did not want to promote sad these movies. Face. Yeah, there was no way. Once that he said that his script of the Batman solo movie wasn't going to happen, I was like, yeah, he's not playing Batman. Like, it was just a snowball effect from there. And Connor just said that Ben Affleck could return, and we could have 2 Batmans running around, Robert Pattinson and Ben Affleck. I don't see that happening. I don't.
Yeah, and it's weird, but
it's confusing to the general audiences and to the mass audiences. To us, we're going to understand the differences in how different characters are going to interact with different things, and that there's 2 different Batmen. But how am I going to explain that to my brother, who goes to see this Robert Pattinson thing, maybe, depending on what the rating is. If he goes to see this thing, and then he sees Catwoman, but then Ben Affleck's Batman doesn't have a Catwoman, at least as far as we're concerned. So it's like, oh, yeah, where's Catwoman in this movie? And that's just going to snowball into more different things. And if it stays exclusive to HBO Max, boy, then Warner's just going to be throwing money at the streaming service, hoping that people are going to stick around for this thing.
I mean, it's essentially HBO with added perks. So I mean, I expect people to. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and the streaming service as it is great. But
like I know day one I will be watching Fresh Prince. I'm going to start just like a binge of that. I ain't even gonna lie.
I think we can all agree though that we're all looking forward to this and we're all going to watch it. 1,000%.
Just from the curiosity standpoint, like, not that I'm super duper stoked to see what Zack Snyder has to say about Justice League, more about just because this is something that has never ever happened before. Like, this is a really, big thing to happen for the movie industry and could really change things going forward. Like you said, Chris, so many other directors are going to be looking around like, wait, so you're saying that I can get my cut of the movie made too? Because
I can make the movie I want to make.
Not all directors are Christopher Nolan that can make their vision 100%, and that is what's on theaters. Like, I would say most directors in Hollywood, probably 85% of their movie, 85% of their movie, their vision makes the theater. And so they're going to be looking at like, oh, okay, so I want my vision 100% to be on the theater. They're going to be like, well, no, you can't do that. Like, you signed a contract. We have to, have our say and put our sausage fingers in the mix too. But they're going to be like, well, you did it for Zack. Like, why not me?
Mm-hmm.
People Warner's are jealous about these things.
Tough time doing
that. And you, Toby, you hit the nail on the head for me, because when you talk about director's cuts, I will give this to Zack Snyder. You look at his Watchmen director's cut, his BVS director's cut, and both those films, what was cut out enhances the film to just a degree where you're like, okay, this is really enjoyable. I understand it more now because my personal issue with Zack Snyder is I feel like he can't tell a complete story within the confines of whatever runtime that he's given. The Batman vs. Superman director's cut over 3 hours. Watchmen director's cut over 3 hours. Their studios and all that want that 2 to 2.5 hour movie, and he pushes those limits.
But I think we've also learned lately that you can do a 3 hour movie and people will be engaged with it. We saw with Endgame. Endgame was over 3 hours, and you saw what that did. I
think that's a little bit of a different circumstance because that's a 21, 22 movie buildup.
Sure.
Whereas this has been like, what was Justice League, like the 5th movie in this series?
Right.
That's
the
generous.
4th?
I think it was the 3rd, 4th.
No.
It was the 4th.
It was the 5th. Man of Steel.
Oh, Suicide Squad.
Yep.
That doesn't even build to it.
Suicide Squad.
I don't count it.
It's the 5th one we got in the universe.
Whatever. But it didn't build to Justice League. And even with that being said, the biggest point of all of this is the fact, and Toby had mentioned this, the future of filmmaking as we know it. Because now, especially at Warner Brothers, directors are going to be pushing for the cut that they want to release.
Right.
Because now, if they don't, all it takes for a director to be like, yep, Warner screwed that up. Wasn't my fault. Like with Josh Trank and Fantastic Four, that exact situation where Josh Trank was hired on to be the director for a Fantastic Four movie. And the studio was like, we're going to make this movie ours now and just slap your name on it. And he just distanced himself from that movie as much as he could. And now I kind of want to see the Trank cut of Fantastic Four. I want to see the movie he put out. And that's a bad thing to put into my brain.
Disney owns it technically, so they could.
You're not going to do it because why would they give a shit?
I mean, they brought
pressure.
They brought Clone Wars back. I could see that getting thrown on a Hulu or Disney Plus. I pose a question for the ones saying this is a bad idea. If you were to make a film and the studio said, actually, we're going to recut this and you have no say, it's our film, tough luck. We believe this version will make more money. Would you be upset? Would you want your... See, I'm not saying it's bad as a creative. That's the part I like about it. I'm happy he gets to finish his vision. It's just my issue is like Chris said, like Toby said, it's the precedent it sets.
Yeah, I'm not saying this is a bad idea by no means, because it's a business decision first and foremost. This is not Zack Snyder getting his due at Justice League. This is a man that handled the property for as long as he could before he had to leave due to the circumstances that he had, and it's getting redone with popular characters. If this wasn't Justice League, this would not happen at all. If this was just a random ragtag group of original IP superheroes, hell no, this movie's not getting redone. Hell no.
And I know there's always been director's cut, but the precedent we're talking about is the fact that it's out.
It's going to be 3.5 years after the original.
3.5 years. And he's made it known it's a completely different film than what we've got. We only got a fourth of what he did, is what he said. So with that in mind, I'm just sitting here. I'm like, glad he gets to finish his vision. It's not his side of things that I'm worried about or upset with. It's the fan side of things, and that's realistically what I'm talking about.
This might be a bad example, but just imagine next year, what if Dune comes out, right? And Dune is not what we think it is. Like, it's poorly made, just the editing's weird. And you hear about rumblings behind the scenes of the studio getting involved. What if that movie comes out and Denis Villeneuve, which I don't even know if he has a Twitter, but puts out a tweet, my cut is better, and that's it. And then you see the fans like, oh, there's another cut out there. Release the Denis Villeneuve cut. Like, come on. And then we see this happen over and over and over again. That's what we're where it backs the studio in a corner like, oh, wait, the fans want another cut. There's another cut out there. What are we going to do? And so they freak out and then this is what I'm worried about. I don't want directors to be put in a position where they feel like they're getting crapped on because they have their cut of a film that isn't put out.
But like you brought up Ridley Scott's releasing Blade Runner cuts 20 years later. Yes, but Blade Runner is a cult classic film.
And that movie bombed at the box office.
Yes, that bombed at the box office and then gained a cult following.
Yeah.
And the changes to it are minor compared to what's happening with this. They are minuscule.
They didn't go out and reshoot things for Blade
They
Runner.
didn't reshoot 75.
It took Harrison Ford 30 years to get back to being Deckard.
And this was just because Ridley Scott was changing his mind. Like Ridley Scott was looking at his own film and being like, I don't like that. I don't like that. Just like George Lucas and all the edits that he made to the original trilogy. It's like those were the director's decisions. In this case, this was not Zack Snyder's decision to have to back out of this movie. Like there were things that made him leave. And we got what we got. Fans weren't happy with it. Like I mentioned before, if the Justice League was really good, we would not be having this discussion. It's the fact that fans did not like it and they wanted something else.
And also, to Connor's point, yes, Denny is one of the greatest directors to ever live. But Zack Snyder is not. Denny has Oscar buzz around his name. Zack Snyder does not. So if Denny goes out and says he has a better cut, let's be honest, his cut probably is better. Zack Snyder... although his track record shows it's probably going to be better based off of the director's cuts we've gotten, ultimately, their director's cuts are normally like pre-agreed upon that they're going to get released. Like, oh yeah, Batman vs Superman director's cut. I guarantee you that was probably in his contract that he was going to get to release the director's cut.
It was with the DVD release.
Exactly. It's one of those things. But in this situation, and I get theaters are closed and we're completely different versions, but it's I just don't see what outside of him being able to finish his vision and fans finally getting to shut the fuck up. I don't see the bright side because like I'm everyone knows I love Star Wars. I'm an admin of a Star Wars page. Do you want to know how many freaking do the Trevorrow film, release the JJ cut propaganda I've had to delete over the past couple of weeks or over the last week?
George in the house.
George is a little buzzed right now.
I want his 2 cents.
Oh, that's up to Nick. Nick, you're the one by him.
He's gone.
Oh, he's gone?
Yeah.
That's upsetting. That's upsetting. But no, and I'm actually, Matt, I'm glad you brought up theaters closing because I honestly think if COVID doesn't happen, this doesn't happen either. Because the future of movie theaters is up in the air, even with states are opening back up, and like you guys mentioned, Ohio's more rapid than other states is opening back up, and movie theaters will be open. I think July. I think that's the starting point for a lot of these things. With Tenet, I think that's the first big release.
Well, Tenet's probably going to get pushed back.
Tenet no longer has a release date. We covered that in our trailer review. They just dropped coming to theaters, no date attached. They dropped
that's wild. We're not going to see it till next summer. So I think that
don't say that. It probably won't be till September, October.
They're going to pull a Fast and Furious, which is the only time I'll compare those two movies.
No,
and it's going to get pushed back a year.
No. The difference is Tenet is an Oscar-worthy movie. Fast and Furious is not. And I love
if they had stunt Oscars, Vin Diesel would have had at least 5 of them bad boys. Him and his CGI clusters. But look, I honestly think that COVID changed the game for a lot of movie studios, Warner Brothers being one of them. And if movie theaters have that struggle where literally the last 3 or 4 months of box office is gone. It's
wiped away
off the face of the earth. And Warner's like, well, not only A, we need the hype and the publicity for our streaming service, but B, let's throw some money at this movie that's already done. It's done shooting, at least for the most part. It's done shooting.
And most of the money is just being towards letting Zack do the special effects he wants.
Yeah, so bam, let's release that on our streaming service next year. It's a win-win. This is ultimately a business decision. I believe there's no way in hell they're like, you know what, Zack Snyder? We want to see you finish your vision. Let's give you $30 million to make this movie and drop it on our streaming service. I find that hard to believe. I think this is purely a business move. This is nothing more than let's throw something else on our streaming service. And honestly, yeah, the Green Lantern series is coming, and I'm really stoked to see how is it Bad Robot that's doing that?
No, that's Berlanti's company.
Oh, Berlanti. Okay, well, even better.
And if you've watched the Arrow series finale, I think you know who Green Lantern is. Just saying, that's my 2 cents on that. But
But no, I think this is purely business. It's not about the creative side. And yes, George, what does Nick think of this?
Nick's just sitting here quietly.
Well, no, it comes a time in a show where every single person gets asked what their opinion is, and then I have to sit here and wait until Matt forgets. Hi, I'm here. Yeah, I gave my 2 cents every once in a while, but let's face it. Whenever I'm on this show talking about something like this, your dog is coming to.
Oh no.
What does the dog think? The dog needs its opinion heard as well.
The dog wasn't born yet.
I always kind of. Oh boy, here she comes. It's fine. I always talk about this from a filmmaker's standpoint, and from a filmmaker's standpoint, I would want my vision to be seen. Now, the issue is, this is going to happen with big studio movies anywhere. Is that the director's vision is there most of the time, but a studio gets final say. I think that's the issue that I have with the Trank cut, is that they completely ruin that. But I've heard that there's no reshoots that are going to happen.
That's the
this is all going towards special effects. And here's the thing, guys, is that this movie has existed for a while. The movie isn't with DC. It's Zack Snyder who has it. Clearly, he's the one who's overseeing everything. That's why we have stills from this thing. Exactly.
Or whatever, Vero or whatever.
Yeah. So the movie has always existed. He had a private screening at his house for the DC executives in order to show what needs to be done and if this movie could get made. So they see something in it. Now, I'm not saying that this movie isn't going to get made because the movie's getting made because it's a launch. It has nothing to do with movie theaters. They probably have had this in mind before COVID started. The movie is getting released because they want it to launch with the streaming service. Everything is going to streaming.
This is about a year after the streaming service is launching, just making that clear.
I'm aware, but this is going to draw more people in. That's the thing. I mean, they could have done this for DC Max or whatever the hell the thing is called.
DC Universe.
Yeah. And it probably, I'm sorry. After what I watched, Stargirl isn't going to be bringing anybody to DC Universe. But like this movie was made for HBO Max. The fans can say that they won. And here's my big thing is like when the studio does something, I'm just going to blatantly say it. When the studio does something stupid, they deserve to hear something from it. And I'm not saying that's the case for this movie, but when you brought up Sonic, I mean, are you kidding me? Yeah. That's the movie that we're trying to release. I mean, and there's theories there's theories that they released that trailer and that was never going to be the case. I don't know if that's true or not. I personally don't think that it's true, but I'm also on the artist standpoint for that. The person who gets fired because their movie doesn't get made the right way. And I'm going to say something that nobody has mentioned, and this has nothing to do with the Snyder Cut. For Joss Whedon and oh gosh, and Ron Howard to have come in and did what they did for these movies is nothing short of a miracle.
Right.
You have to admit that. And I'm not saying
Howard with Solo.
Yep.
Correct.
Okay.
For him to have come for them. Yeah, and I'm stealing a lot from John Campea here, but that's kind of my shower videos lately, is just listening to that. But it's like
hold on, time out. Shower videos?
Like I listen to the audio.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, no.
I was thought you just had like your phone propped up so you could watch videos.
No, I'm just listening. I'm just listening to it. But there's just beyond that. I mean, guys, if people are listening to this podcast, they don't want to see us. So the thing is, unless you're Taylor with me, apparently. So the thing is that like, for them to have come in and done what they had done, it's nothing short of a miracle. That said, I've always just kind of been, as a filmmaker, on the point of the artist. Now, my thing is that if you don't want your image to be messed with, don't do it. Because, it's the reason why the guy who's directing... it's the guy who's directing who was going to direct Doctor Strange 2. His vision wasn't created, or his vision, they were having clashes over the idea. He got out of it.
Yep.
That's the thing, is he got out of doing that movie, which probably was the smart idea, because we'd probably be dealing with a situation like this after that. Disney doesn't care, though. Disney's not going to go out of their way. I mean, for the people who are going, release the Solo cut. Well, first of all, that movie was never finished. But it's to me, I understand that, you know, the fans won in this situation. The fans didn't win. This was for the streaming service. Now I'm going to start off by saying that. And I know I've been going for a little bit, but my big thing is like, there's trolls and stuff like that who don't like anything with any series. That's the issue. You know, the people who bitched about Star Wars, the whole, and I'm not saying you guys are, but I just think the whole fandom as a whole for Star Wars is kind of toxic at times.
Yes.
But they never got the movie that they wanted. Marvel fans who don't like the Marvel things didn't get the movie that they wanted. You know, this whole thing is about Zack Snyder, who, like I said, had 25 or 75% of his movie shot already before this all happened. And for him to have gotten what he wanted out of it, I don't care about what the fans have to say in this standpoint. I do, clearly, because I'm one of them, but it's like, for Zack Snyder to have gotten his movie out there, good for him. That's kind of my big takeaway.
I mean, there are rumors that he did get his entire film completed, and it was just the reshoots and everything that he wasn't going to be a part of, and then they decided, no, we're just recutting this film.
Well, exactly. They reshot the majority of the movie. Like, we never got that football scene with Cyborg that I really wanted to see. We never got any more of the Nightmare stuff. We never got the black suit for Superman. And you know what's going to be really nice about this? And the whole studio interference thing is that we're not going to see Henry Cavill's mustache being removed out of this movie. That's honestly a very good thing.
That's a great point.
And you know, that's my big thing about this movie. No matter whether it is what I wanted or it's not, technically it's just not a great movie for me. It's my opinion. You know, I didn't like the mustache stuff. I thought that the opening scene, and that's kind of where I, as a person who makes movies, kind of shies away from.
Yeah, I remember sitting right next to you, and you're like, "Oh!" As soon as that opening scene happened.
Yeah, I had my cat's face on for the majority of that movie. I'm not gonna lie.
They really had to have that scene in the movie. Like, they had to bring Henry Cavill back to do that scene. It was that important.
They could have just opened with that musical montage to everybody.
But Steppenwolf, for example, looks considerably better in Zack Snyder's version. We saw it at the end of Batman versus Superman. For this film, the only thing that I want is the visual effects to just be a little bit better. And if they are, then I might enjoy it a little bit more. But I understand that I completely see movies in a way. I was writing a script once, and I wrote this character to be annoying their friends the entire movie. Like, oh my God, look at that. Technical stylings of movies. For the movie to be better technically, I'm going to be happier. So it's already a better movie in that sense already to me. And I'm glad that they're putting the money into the special effects, just because that's a field that I enjoy a lot when it comes to filmmaking.
Well, I mean, what else would they put the money into? Like you said, they shot the scenes.
Well, I'm saying they're putting a lot of money, though.
Yeah, it's the amount.
It's the amount that they're putting into.
The fact that
they're putting care into making this movie the best that.
Well, they kind of have to, because I think Zack said that 80% of his movie was not shown. Like, what was shown on screen was about 20% of what he shot. You're left with a whole lot of movie that is just shot without any special effects whatsoever. So I would hope that they're going to put in a lot of money to do that, because that's a whole lot of scenes that you got to touch up.
Okay, yeah, and that's a point. But it's like I'm just happy that they are. You know, they could be like, all right, well, they could release this movie in black and white and limited amount of special effects, and guess what? They're going to make a whole lot of dough off of that, because the Snyder fans are going to get what they want in a way. They're not going to. There's probably going to be some backlash from that, but my point is that they're actually putting the care into this, which I respect at least.
And they weren't willing to do before, because they were like, let's just throw millions more than that into reshooting this.
Exactly, and like I for one am annoyed when studios back themselves into a corner like that. If you've got a movie, and I guess it's not what you want, God forbid, if a movie's done, there was already going to be a loss on that movie just from having to reshoot everything when the actors in it didn't even really want to do it.
Another thing, too, that I actually just thought of is that, can you imagine how many directors and writers out there have scripts that they would kill for $30-40 million to have their movie made,
Right.
and yet instead the
too.
studio is using it to make a movie that we already saw 2 years ago. I understand it's going to probably be a completely different movie, but my point is, like, use that money for an indie director who really wants to have his shot. Put that on
Joker,
HBO Max.
look at it this way. Joker was made on $60 million. You're giving half of that budget to Justice League.
They have that though. That's the thing. Is that like,
And that's why I
the
say
big
it's
thing
a
about it? Yeah, it's a business move. They don't care about. I'm sure that there's a part of it that they feel like they owe Zack because of all the movies that they've done with him already. Sure, but they're making this movie because out of it financially. They don't. They can offer the $30 million to an indie film, and yeah, that would be great especially from my standpoint. But all they care about is money at this point. That's the thing, and that indie film, unfortunately, probably isn't going to make them as much money as releasing the Snyder Cut would.
But I feel like we're also being a dead horse here. Like, obviously, at the end of the day, money is always the only thing that matters when it comes to making a movie. The only reason that you put out a movie is to make money. So let's just ignore that. What I'm talking about is the other things. The fans getting what they wanted, even though they probably don't deserve it. What other directors are going to now face being like, oh, I want to have my movie made, not the studio's movie, my movie. And the fact that
as a director, you're going to want that all the time, though.
But with big studios, you're not going to get that all the time.
Well, that's my point as to why you shouldn't do it if that's the case. If that's what you're thinking.
And no, I agree. But what Toby's trying to say is you're going to get directors being
it's creating a toxic environment.
Yeah,
that's the issue.
You're going to have directors being like, well, I still want to do this project, but I want it done my way.
Right.
My biggest thing with this whole ordeal, regardless of where you stand on it, or where you think the money should go or anything. I think ultimately for me, and I don't want to speak for the three of you guys, is that it's going to bum me out if the movie is as good as people are hoping it is or thinking it is, and we're not going to see a follow-up to it. And all the squandered opportunity that we're going to see.
There's talk that they might, so who knows?
I'm not going to believe it until HBO or Warner Brothers tells me.
Okay, but my big thing on that is I'll take another property that's within their universe. I'm a huge Joker fan. I could watch a movie like that all day long until they finally axe him. You know what I mean? And that's the thing is that's the thing with fandom, and especially when this movie didn't do that well. I'm sure that there are people who are like, oh, this is a fine movie. I kind of want to see where they're going moving forward. I mean, think about it from a standpoint of the Flash movie that keeps getting pushed back that we're probably never going to see.
Andy Muschietti's going to make that thing a masterpiece.
Oh, I agree. I'm making a point that if Ezra Miller keeps backing himself into a damn corner, then we're never ever going to see that movie.
It's like, can I have your autograph?
He's going to fight his way out of that corner.
But thank God that's been all brushed under the bus, right? Is that what we're seeing right now? But I just cannot. I lost where I was going with my point because Matt's dog.
And I don't want to sound like I'm being salty or that I'm bitter. Like, I'm not. Like, I am happy for Zack. Like, don't get me wrong. I love Zack Snyder. I love Man of Steel. I'm glad his vision is getting put to screen, and at least on the small screen. That's cool. It's just everything else surrounding it is so many questions that I wonder, going forward how the studios and the movie making business is going to change.
And it's nobody gave a shit about this director's cut of Watchmen, which I know that I enjoy at least. But I'm saying nobody had so much outrage about when Watchmen was coming. But
because
this is the second time this person's made this point on our podcast. Yeah.
But no,
way to bring up something that we're not talking about. Way to go.
No, but you're talking about a film that we kind of were not completely interested in. I get their point, but what it is that and I'll answer this question real quick. Black Widow, the events that happen in it are supposed to set up Phase 4 going forward because there's characters and all that are supposed to carry on forward. So that's why that's its own movie.
5% of Black Widow is going to be universe shattering, at least according to the things that we've heard from people inside of Marvel
and all that.
Yeah. So, but I totally it will be filler for the most part. until we get that one cool thing that's going to really rock our world is going in this phase 4.
Oh, that describes Batman versus Superman for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
But no.
Darkseid's going to be cool in this.
Yeah, and I was just about to say, and let's go to some of the other pieces of news, other than the fact that it's going to be a 4-hour cut, is that Zack Snyder confirmed that we'll be seeing Ryan Choi, who, for those who don't know,
thank you, God,
ends up being one of the Atoms, and we will also be seeing Harry Senwick become or revealed apparently as Martian Manhunter.
Hell yeah, we are. That is going to get me to buy.
Yes,
This is my Zack Snyder cut moment. Is that forgetting Martian Manhunter? Because
let's be honest, you just got to borrow the HBO password.
Okay, the Martian Manhunter is literally like one of my favorite superheroes of all time. So the fact that we're going to get him in a live action movie that's not Supergirl, I am so happy.
But how much though? Like, how much are we going to see him in this movie?
Oh,
it won't be
a lot, but it'll be the Flash. See,
it'll be the end credit scene to the movie that we will never ever see.
Here's my big thing is that I walked out of Batman versus Superman feeling this way. Was that we're never going to get any other movies beyond this point. Anyways, but that moment that the Flash appears was enough to get me to go, oh my God. And then after the movie, I went, oh, that was not good. But like, and whatever. I mean, they were going to end up rebooting this. The issue from the beginning is that they were making this movie, this whole universe, in the exact wrong way. You know,
exactly 1,000%.
Marvel's success came from them building this universe. They didn't make the Avengers literally right after they didn't make Iron Man and then Civil War and then Avengers. They didn't do that. They made an entire universe of films that built up to a point. I don't think that we I'll be honest, from the beginning I didn't even think we earned Batman versus Superman yet. That was my opinion.
We still haven't.
So for me, this whole Justice League thing is like, I didn't think we were ever going to get a movie ever again. I still don't. So if it's better, then so be it. You know what I mean?
To address the two characters that we're going to see now, Martian Manhunter and Ryan Choi, who the second Atom.
Or in this case, will probably be the first. Let's be honest.
Yes, apparently we're not going to get a Ray Palmer, I guess. Okay, cool. But with the two of the characters that we're going to get, awesome. Yes. Oh, yes, please. I would love to see John Jones like in his Martian form, not just in his human form. That'd be incredible. Just getting a little Easter egg of Ryan Choi, perfecting the Atom character or the suit or the power, whatever that he's going to do is going to be cool. And this brings me back to my point earlier. Yeah, it's going to be a bummer not necessarily seeing what happens to these two specific versions of the character, but who knows? To think on the bright side, this may open up new avenues for these characters to pop up later in different movies, not necessarily these two actors playing these characters, but I would love to see more Ryan Choi. I know they did him in the CW crossover in Crisis, and Martian Manhunter is on Supergirl, but it's really, I would like these characters to be more, it's maybe because I'm a nerd and I want to see more of these guys. I would like to see them more popular. I would like to see a Deadpool-esque run with another character that people love and that comic book readers are super fans of, just for them to blow up all of a sudden. And I want to see a Martian Manhunter on the big screen. My God, I would love to see the Atom and his powers done correctly on screen. Because yeah, we see it all in the CW, but not too many people watch the CW stuff. And it's going to be freaking awesome. And I mentioned the whole Darkseid thing, and we'll probably get to Darkseid in a second. But this movie is going to show us more of that world building. Because if Zack Snyder's proven anything to us, is that he wants to build this world as fast as he possibly can. And this is just more instances of that. But as much as I was a non-believer of the Snyder Cut, I think a deep part of me really wanted this to be a thing. Now it's actually a thing. Yes, please give me more.
And to your point about Zack wanting to build this world as fast as he could, I don't think that was Zack's decision. I think that was Warner Brothers' decision.
I agree.
I think they wanted to build this thing as fast as they could to catch up with Marvel. If Zack had it his way,
well, I like the two movies that he did before.
If Zack was in charge of this whole thing, like 100%, we probably would be getting Batman v Superman like next year.
Absolutely. No, that's my thing. It's like Universal was like, hey, here's all the let's do this. Like, you know, and that's the thing is like, you know, I don't think that Zack Snyder's Superman arc was ever completed, because by the time that we get Justice League, we feel like, oh, now he cares about humanity. It's too rushed. You know, Doomsday appearing in Batman versus Superman was like, oh my gosh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Already with that.
We're doing Death of Superman in the second movie that involves
one of the largest arcs that DC's ever done. The Death of Superman.
Death of Superman, Dark Knight Returns, and whatever Zack's trying to figure out with this whole apocalypse thing. And I think that was teased really well when, like, you know, the nightmare scenes were teased really well. And I look forward to finally getting more of that in this movie. But it's like, you know, the tease that we got for the nightmare scenes, that's what I felt like, hey, that's universe building right there at its finest. On the other hand, the other stuff, not so much.
Yeah. I mean, I'm personally, I'm excited to see Ryan Choi, hopefully better than they did him in Crisis, because Crisis was horrible.
Cool it. It wasn't horrible.
It was pretty bad, Chris.
I want to see the Berlanti cut.
I was just about to say that. I was like, so you're telling me that there's another version of Crisis on Infinite Earths?
No, it's just the one.
It's just the one that they made up as they went along, and it's bad.
Don't say it's bad. It breaks my heart.
No. There's another cut. There's another cut, guys. It's sitting around somewhere in the basement of DC. Like, they have to put it out because I didn't like the one that I got. I didn't like the one that I got, so I want the other one. Like, I'm owed that.
I mean, that's the thing, though, is Zack Snyder, it's proven that there was another cut.
Yeah.
With everybody else, you know, David Ayer, I feel like, is talking out of his ass, though. No, I feel like there was all that Joker footage that was never used. So maybe he's not.
Put on YouTube.
But that's the thing. He shows still
play it in Fortnite
from the Joker footage that's never been used. So,
premiere on Fortnite.
Yeah, but like he uses stills and everything of footage that's never been used. That's
but here's the thing: is like,
I believe the Ayer cut is probably
Warner Brothers clearly gives their filmmakers, and I love it, a lot of freedom when it comes to their vision until they step in, because there are these two cuts. We don't hear about these other cuts. I guess maybe there's a Star Wars one for J.J. Abrams. I still don't believe that that's true.
There's a lot it's a lot of, you complained that the first act is very rushed. There's a lot in the first act that's said to be cut, and the final act. So,
well, I'm just saying, like, you know, I don't believe that I'm sure a director's cut can exist, and, you know, scenes are deleted all the time. I'm finding that when it comes to editing my own films, is that, like, hey, there's things that on the cutting room floor and the script, that's the thing, is with the script, the filming, and then the final product, there is always, like, every single version of the movie is different. But, like, I don't believe that there's a director's cut for I don't believe that there's a crazy different director's cut for every single movie. Like, there's no way that's why I don't think that this is going to be as harsh unless the filmmaker says it themselves. They're setting the precedent for this to be a problem. That's my opinion, is that the filmmakers are setting, and that's, you know, but that's the thing, is, like, I'm torn because I want their vision to be said, but I also get, from a money standpoint, it can't be done all the time. But if a filmmaker doesn't go out and say, there's a cut of my movie out there, then obviously nobody's going to be like, oh, give me the Tarantino cut of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I'll say this. I'm pretty sure Warner Brothers has always been known for their controversy. I'm sure they don't put gag orders to a certain degree as Disney does. Like, you rarely ever hear anyone from Disney come out with, oh, yeah, there's my cut. The stuff from the JJ, about the JJ cut that exists, is stuff like in the third act, when we hear all the Jedi voices, initially that was supposed to be all Force ghosts. Like, and there's been proof that those actors were on set. So, like, that's why people say the JJ cut exists.
Well, okay, I understand that, but I'm just saying, like, you know, nobody's got I'm just saying that, like, I guess the filmmaker sets the precedent. So, and I agree. The whole gag order thing when it comes to Disney is that obviously they're not going, oh, there's this cut of my movie. With films, there's a lot that's left on the cutting room floor. Again, that's why deleted scenes exist. Although I'm kind of surprised that Martian Manhunter thing wasn't on it. Right. So
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
So when Zack left, right, he had all these scenes shot. Those were the scenes that were supposed to be put into post and edited and everything. Why did they decide to reshoot and Joss rewrote a whole bunch of stuff? Was that because the studio didn't like Zack's vision, even though Zack left? And so even if Zack had stayed, they probably still would have made something similar to what they put out.
Part of everything that went down was basically is he asked for the time away. He didn't want to leave. He asked for production to be shut down.
Yes.
And they come back and finish his way, and they're like, we honestly don't like what you have right now. We're going to rewrite and reshoot it. They didn't like Zack Snyder and Chris Terrio's script, which the one reason I'm really excited about this is I get to see Chris Terrio's script. I don't have to worry about, like, everyone blames Chris Terrio for Justice League, but hearing that 1/4 is what we got from Zack, that means we only got 1/4 of what Chris Terrio wrote. When that's what's important to me. That's what I'm more so looking forward to when it comes to this. Because Chris Terrio's been getting the shaft by fandoms because of this and people not liking Rise of Skywalker. Chris Terrio's a brilliant writer, so.
I want to mention, because we keep mentioning Marvel, like if one of the Marvel movies is going to be like this, or Star Wars, I think that's why the Lord and Miller firings were so polarizing to us, because we hadn't seen something like that before, and it was like, yo, oh my god. And then Ryan Howard came in and made Solo, which I think is a pretty good movie.
Yes, I love Solo.
But in regards to this whole Snyder Cut thing, and after I just ragged on it or gave it love, whatever, this might not even be a big deal. Like, and I may be blowing this out of the water. I may be just over exaggerating the circumstances of this. Filmmakers might not even care. I think the only reason why people wanted or were surprised to see this movie, or why they have such broad or big reaction to this news, is because we saw that damn hashtag for 2.5 years.
Yep.
And we were like, I just kept getting tired of hearing about it. Like, oh, it's gonna happen. It's already made. It just needs to be done. And it just took Warner Brothers and Zack Snyder 2.5 years, 3 years to agree on a move, to agree on the actual money behind it, or how they're gonna release it, or whatever. So
apparently, this all started coming to fruition back in around Thanksgiving of last year, the second anniversary of the film.
So if that's the case, then I think the only reason why people are getting so like flustered by it is because it's the only movie to ever really have this type of reaction post its release. And as big as it was, we've wanted to see different cuts of different movies. Some directors have done it, like how Connor in our Facebook chats had mentioned Blade Runner, and how it took Ridley Scott so many times to finally make that
final cut,
that perfect in his perfected mind Blade Runner movie. And okay, cool. Like, and this is coming from a fan of these characters. I like the Justice League movie. I like the world that DC had set up before that, or that Warner Brothers had set up before that. And am I just going to get hurt because I'm not going to see this interpretation of Martian Manhunter? I'm not going to, as far as Ezra Miller goes, like, who knows if we're going to get his version of the Flash. So I'm just scared of being butthurt. This is me putting up my walls and being defensive, but this might not even be a big deal. Like, we might have just went an hour of bickering and countering each other just for it to be like, yep, it's just Zack Snyder. His movie comes out, and if it's good or bad, cool. On to the next one. Like, so, and who knows? Maybe this will come back and bite me in the ass in a year. But I'm just saying that I'm excited for it. This is going to be cool regardless. Like, this is a moment. This is a moment in movie history. Like, nothing has happened like this before. And it's gonna be whether it's going to theaters or not. It's gonna be awesome. I would not be surprised if it gets at least a week in theaters. I would not. All right,
everybody. You wanted somebody's thoughts. Now you're getting them.
Man,
what do you want?
What do you think of Justice League as a movie?
Guilty pleasure.
Okay, I'll take it.
Zack Snyder is the Michael Boom Boom Bay of your generation.
That's a good comparison. Do you care about a Zack Snyder version of this movie?
I will watch with curiosity, but you got to understand something. As much as I drag on him, I happen to like Man of Steel.
I love Man of Steel.
Because he did something completely different with Superman that needed to be done, which was rid Superman of that goddamn Boy Scout ethos. I hate that fucking Boy Scout elf. I can't fucking stand
We cried in the theater together.
I cannot stand it.
I'm gonna out him. We cried in the theater together.
Like, you've made Superman the Star Trek of comic book characters because allegedly there can't be any conflict. Fuck that. Superman, he made Superman realistic. So I give him credit for that. And there are times in Man of Steel that there are some genuine father-son Clark Kent, Jonathan Kent moments that just make you when Jonathan Kent tells him no, pushes no, don't save me, don't do this to yourself. I'm like, God damn, that shit like that's deep.
It's probably the best scene in the whole movie.
But the rest of what he does, it's like when you see what somebody can do with Watchmen and what he did with it, it's like, what the fuck?
Hey,
So-
you even have said to Nick and I, both director's cuts of Watchmen and Batman vs Superman are his director's cuts are far superior than.
They tend to be better, yeah. And I'll watch mainly because I don't have HBO Max for fucking free anyhow. So, but it's like I'll be there with the rest of the geeks and nerds, absolutely, because that's my nature.
I mean, our family room is decorated with DC art, so he's not lying.
But see, keep in mind that the Snyder Cut comes about for one reason, and that's because Warner Brothers / AT&T is looking for buzz for this fucking new service. That's what it's about, and they're just trying to patch it. They will take a million, 1.5 million new customers for a month because it'll pay for that $20 million that they're going to invest in this movie.
But George, they would not care about this thing if the fans didn't care. If the fans didn't cry out into the void to get this thing made, they wouldn't care about it either, and so it wouldn't get made.
Can I be keeping it real?
Yeah, of course.
Please.
Studios care about one fucking thing: money.
Yes, but they would
baby.
absolutely. No one's disputing that. But if the fans didn't care about it, then they would know that they don't need to put it out because it would be a waste of money.
Okay, let me ask you a question. How much had you heard about fucking HBO Max before the Snyder Cut thing? How much had you have paid attention to it?
I mean, I care about it because HBO tends to put out a lot of great content, and I probably would have subscribed to it anyway. But obviously, we know this, that them putting this out is to get recognition for this thing. But I'm saying, my point is that they wouldn't care to put it out if the fans didn't want it.
Oh, is it fan service? Yeah. Oh, sure.
my whole point.
Just like half of fucking Picard was fan service. So
Hey, you tell them, George. Tell 'em.
what?
He said
No,
tell him.
I say you tell them.
Go nuts.
So I'm a cynic. I've been on sets. I was on the set of the fucking Matrix, the second Matrix movie. I've been to New York. I see how they fucking operate, and it's all about yo money, yo money, yo money, yo money. They want your money. And yeah, if they can pick the pockets of a bunch of nerds and geeks and spazzes, whatever you guys are calling yourself these days, they will. And mind you, I'm your fucking brethren. I'm the generation.
He's wearing a Tyrion shirt right now. I mean, this doesn't get any better than that.
I get it. I'm the guy with 200 Star Trek figures out in my garage or more.
Oh, man. That's my
Hell
man.
yeah.
So
I aspire to be George when I'm.
here's the broader point is don't ascribe some noble fucking credo or anything to this move. It's purely cynical, it's purely money based, and it's and that's it in a nutshell. Am I curious? Yeah. Will I be there streaming? Yeah. Because what's going to piss me off even more is if they fucking kill DC Universe. So, that's what's
I mean,
bothering me.
I'm right there with you, but it would just be a part of HBO Max.
Oh, you think they're moving those comic books to fucking HBO?
Oh, not the comic
Hell
books.
no,
I'm
hell
not talking
no.
about the comic books. I'm just talking about all the content, like Static Shock and.
They're gonna kill DC Universe. Doom
By the end of the
Patrol's
year.
already moving.
Yeah.
So
Doom Patrol, their most popular show, mind you.
And Teen Titans is their most popular show.
No, Doom Patrol actually.
Titans is their most popular show. Yes.
Listen to George. God damn
The
it.
most popular show, and it'll be there next as soon as the next season's done.
Mhm.
DC Universe is gone, so don't expect me to re-up for that shit in November when it's up, because it ain't happening. Because they're gonna try and double my ass.
Hey, what are you talking about? Stargirl's gonna. Sorry, we'll get into that.
DC
Yeah,
Universe,
Stargirl.
as we know it, will not be a thing in December. There's no way. No way.
Little blonde chicks.
Yeah,
No.
it was one episode.
I like brunettes.
She's 14 or 15. Don't talk about this.
I'm not even just asking.
Thank you, George. Thank you.
Yes, we need a George appearance every show now. That's what needs to happen.
They've been like the last couple weeks. Chris,
Oh, okay. Hell yeah.
He talked Chris into watching Star Trek.
Yep.
Oh.
Are we
Yeah, so
gonna,
thank you, George.
Are we gonna drink the Star Trek the motion picture?
Now I have to do it. I have no choice but to do it.
I
now.
mean, that's 2.5 hours of rock fucking solid drinking.
I will say this: I showed Chris the trailer for that, and he's like, "What is this even about? They're just showing me the characters."
I fell asleep through the trailer.
Back then, Chris, you had to understand. Nobody expected Star Trek to do shit beyond that first 3 years. They wake up 5 years later after it's been in syndication, and all of a sudden, it's fucking popular. And then Star Wars breaks, and it's like, oh shit, we got something like this. Well, no, not really. Different, very different. Intellectual, no lightsabers. Intellectual. And they roll with it. So, and mind you, I like Star Wars, but I'm gonna go to my grave being a Star Trek guy.
Yep.
Because you're an intellectual, right?
Yes.
No, not
That's
really.
right.
It's because
No,
there
he is.
is-
Compared to you, Toby, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm dumb. No doubt about that.
there's an entire philosophy behind Star Trek. That's why that's been built on over the years, and you have to understand, Star Wars has been perverted from my childhood, and I don't feel it that way anymore. That second trilogy really fucked me over. Period.
I was talking about the prequels.
The prequel.
Figured.
It fucked me over. There is one good half movie there.
Is it the one where they talk about sand?
No.
Yeah. When they watch plants grow. The Anakin fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi. That fight. Perfect. Just fucking perfect. I felt there wasn't a Star Wars movie in that moment in the preceding probably 20 minutes. The rest
I thought you said from when he turned to Darth Vader on is when you felt it was a Star Wars.
No. Well, how far into the movie was that?
That's about the halfway point.
Younglings? Yeah. Well, it's like, okay. It's like, see, here it is. No, Star Wars fucked up my childhood. They fucked up my childhood.
Now,
Star
George,
Wars has never done that.
George, were you campaigning after the prequels came out? Were you campaigning that they needed to redo them and to remake them?
Here you go. I wrote a column back when I was covering movies. I wrote a fucking column after the second prequel.
That's not a normal column. That's a fucking column.
I wrote, and this is in the early days of the fucking internet, I wrote that George Lucas needed to let somebody else write and direct the shit. I'm on vacation in Washington, D.C. I'm getting bombarded on my phone and in my email because I pissed everybody the fuck off in Star Wars land. But you know what? Turns out I was right. So,
George was right. That's great. That's a good story. I like that.
George Thomas, to be clear, not George Lucas.
Yes, of course,
Let's
yes.
Let's be clear.
Yes. But what's crazy
God.
is now that the sequel trilogy has come out, people are campaigning for George Lucas to come back to the franchise. It is so weird how everything comes full circle every single time.
We really found a way to talk about Star Wars. During
But-
this.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Do.
by the time the second trilogy came around, I'm like, okay, I'll watch. Now the third trilogy, I'm sorry, the first film in the third trilogy, it gave me that good old feeling that I had with episode 4.
And that was the point. That was the idea.
Exactly. It suckered me, reeled me in, pulled me in. Yeah. I gave it a good review and I fucking regret it. So, there we have.
To be clear, he gave the 2 preceding films good reviews also. Just saying.
Which ones?
Last Jedi and
I gave them mixed reviews.
Were
I
they-
don't know.
were they
I saw some B grades right there. I saw
That-
B's.
It was B's with a proviso. That's mixed.
These get degrees, baby.
It's like
I'll take it.
Rotten
take it.
Tomatoes does what they want to do and lets you know whether it's negative or positive. That's how they. Sorry. So there we go.
Should mention he is a tomato certified critic over there.
Who?
Legitimacy.
Hell
Dude.
yeah.
Real talk. That's what I'm
The-
talking about, baby.
The guy with the most credibility on this show by far.
No, I
He's only
have
been
no
on for the last 10 minutes.
credibility. I'm just a fucking geek.
Join the club. That's the only thing George and I have in common. Thank you, George.
Star Trek: The Motion Picture. You, me,
We'll do it.
vodka.
Toby's like, hold on, I'm gonna have to get in on this.
It's like, yeah, I want to drink some vodka.
Tell me, where are you? Indiana?
They're both in
I'm-
Indiana.
Yeah, I am in Western
Hoosiers.
Indiana.
Where?
Hoosiers.
Western Indiana. I'm very close to Illinois.
So is
Both
Chris.
of you are, aren't you?
I mean, Southwest Indiana, I guess you could say.
He's southwest, or Toby's southwest. Chris is northwest.
Okay. Been to Indiana a few times. Love
I-
Indiana.
I-
Star Wars
sorry.
celebration.
Yeah, I went to all 3 celebrations there, I think.
There's only 2 at Indiana. The first-
Whatever.
It's like, yeah, man, I know where they were.
I know the years they were in.
Matthew was like 3.
Bull-
I'll fuck with- I'll-
No,
I'll-
just
you know what? I'll fuck with you and throw your pictures up here.
myself. I pulled them up myself. I was
Okay.
7 and I was 9.
Never.
10.
Yeah.
Excuse me. 7 and 10.
And I still fucking regret it.
Ouch.
I still regret taking it. I'm
Ouch.
still paying for it.
I was presto.
Dang, that's disappointing.
Wow.
Bad faith.
I've taken up enough of your time. I've got a Dortmunder gold with my name on it.
Thank you so much,
Thank
George.
Thank you, George.
Fire starting soon?
They are getting dessert. Your brother just showed up. And yeah, we're gonna do the fire. Matt's not fucking invited. Fuck him.
Gotta love this show.
Love you, son.
Love you too.
Love you, George.
Love you, George.
Thanks for hopping in.
Oh, by the way, folks, hit me up on Twitter. Just kidding.
I'm staying in this spot. This is comfy.
Anyway,
Chris loves when my dad pops on.
It's the best part of the show every
oh,
time.
yeah, that was great.
Wow.
I need more of that in my life.
You can ask Nick. That's just how he normally is.
That made me such a happy boy.
Ah,
Hi, Miss Swift.
Look, so I forgot what we were talking about.
we
So
were
the
talking about the
Justice
Snyder
League.
Cut. Just last bit of the Snyder Cut news, and then we got 2 other news things to talk about. So here, this bad boy is going to show up.
Thanos.
Is that Killer Croc?
So y'all don't care about Darkseid showing up.
Oh
either.
no! This rocks. No, this
Killer
rocks.
Croc, what are you talking about?
He literally looks like a rock. Yes, I'm down.
Darkseid.
Wayne Johnson is Darkseid.
Oh Jesus.
That's the weirdest looking thing I've ever seen.
No,
Sorry.
yeah, I want all the Darkseid. Give me everything. And maybe because Thanos put that thought in my brain. Oh, an apocalypse where we have these larger than life comic book villains coming to the big screen. I use that word loosely for this one. I think it's going to be awesome. It's going to be super cool. I want to see some Omega beams at least one time. Give me one.
Beams from the sky?
Yeah, some Omega beams. Like they go all over the
That's
place.
in every single DC movie. We don't need any more beams from the sky.
No, well, not the beams from the sky. Beams from the eyes. You know, the ones that leveled
The
Metropolis.
ones that freaking zigzag to go after their target.
Yeah, and they've been invaded one time, and Batman's the only person to do it, at least as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Darkseid's gonna be awesome. I forget the name of the actor who's playing him. Is it Ray Porter?
Yeah, Ray Porter or Roy Porter, one of the two. The last name's Porter.
Toy Warder.
It's crazy in here, I'll tell you.
So I'm so stoked for it.
It is too hot.
I think it won't be too much, not at least not to my knowledge. You might see him talking to Steppenwolf or something.
Yeah.
I'll be surprised if we see the Justice League interact with Darkseid in any way. But yes, please. The fact that we got the confirmation for it, the fact that it's happening, and in the Snyder Cut, it's gonna be really cool. Really stoked for it.
Yeah. Toby, how about you? How are you feeling about that?
I don't know a whole lot about Darkseid. So
Chris,
it'll
why
be
you
really
need to
interesting.
educate him?
I mean, I don't want to be educated. I want to go in blind. Like, I like going into things and not knowing much about it.
You
'Cause
don't
then
want
that way I don't have expectations, because so many people are going to go in thinking like, oh, this needs to happen or that needs to
Okay,
happen.
that's the
Yes,
fair.
and then when it doesn't happen, you're going to be like, yeah, I don't like it. Release the other cut. Like, that's what I'm worried about. People are going to be satisfied. People are going to be satisfied. So you're going to be like, there's another one. There's a different alternate cut that didn't get put on HBO Max. And yeah, I don't know.
And let's be frank, Toby's king pessimism.
That's why I like
You can
having
say
Toby
that.
on the show, because he's always good for an opposite view in one way or another. That's one of the reasons I love working with Toby.
If Toby and I were pulling a Matt and Nick and we were under the same roof talking about these type of things, we would have fought by now. Like physically, we'd be fighting on camera, just so you guys can watch.
We need to get Toby on Schmodown.
No, we don't. Nick, what do you think of
Darkseid? I was say yeah, no.
Darkseid is a cool villain. Problem is knowing the DC universe, or knowing Warner Brothers, they're probably gonna have Darkseid level or snap and kill the entire universe within the first 5 minutes of the film, because they're rushing everything. So hopefully he doesn't do that. But no, I'm excited. Big bad, it's probably going to be the original Avengers type cameo where he appears for a few seconds sitting menacingly.
You think he's going to be on Apocalypse?
Probably. I mean, we're going to see him sitting on his chair with his giant purple chin, and he's going to tell Steppenwolf to do something, and then Steppenwolf is going to go to Earth, and then the Chitauri are going to attack the New York City. So, but I'm excited for it. I mean, he's another one of those larger than life villains, but again, I'll be honest, if they're going to do him the way that we are introduced to Thanos, then I think that it's going to be
A waste.
Well, sure, but I'm saying, like, I'll feel more satisfied if it's introduced that way, because then they're doing it the correct way.
Fair enough.
If they introduce him and he is the villain for the final act, then that's Universal stepping in my opinion.
Fair enough. All right. Well, before Nick and I get to our review of Stargirl, there is one because this is definitely a DC centric episode. There is one piece of DC news I almost forgot to throw on here, and then luckily I remembered, and I can make graphics on the fly. So let's talk about this big old news. We had Ruby Rose drop out from Batwoman.
You took a picture online and then posted.
Yep, I know.
I'm not gonna lie.
Created graphics.
I'm not gonna lie.
He drew that while we were talking to George.
Unbelievable, that. Wow.
He took that picture on set. No,
Yeah.
so I'm not gonna front. When you brought up the Batwoman, I'm like, oh yeah, Ruby Riott. She was fine but Ruby Riott's a professional wrestler and not Batwoman. But look, apparently she wasn't the greatest on set. It was no secret, at least to the
She
people
didn't
that
like
were working
being
on
a
the
real
show.
actress. She didn't like being a lead.
Rumors were she didn't like the hours, which is, I mean,
She
that's
didn't like the
any
hours.
person with a job.
That's like an
like-
entry level job at like Walmart. Like, man, I don't like these hours. Like, give me
She
Thursday
didn't like
off.
having to be
at
on
least.
set possibly 12 hours a day. You know, like a lead actor or actress has to do.
I mean,
So,
she's trying to get someone to take her shift.
Yeah. So I mean, she had really hurt. She really hurt herself. Like she had a really bad injury.
Yeah, she
not
almost
too
was
long ago.
paralyzed back in September.
And this is coming from a guy that doesn't watch Batwoman. The only Batwoman I've seen is the pilot and
the crossover
the
episode?
bit that we saw in the crossover, and she was fine.
No,
but
the show's decent, but she's not a good actress.
I
felt
wouldn't put her with Melissa Benoist as Supergirl or Grant Gustin's Barry Allen. At
Or-
least to me.
yeah, or
And I'm not even going to mention Stephen Amell because I did not want to mention Stephen Amell and Ruby Rose in the same sentence.
Why is
I
that?
can't be disrespectful to Stephen.
Yes, it is.
I think that this whole Ruby Rose thing, it's crazy that she dropped after the first season. I would love to see who replaces her because that's really going to be the talking point. Like, yeah, we may. Oh yeah, Stephanie Patrice.
Yes, she's campaigning for.
Love her. I want her to be She-Hulk.
Well, they've also
the Disney
said they
Plus
want to cast an openly LGBT actress because they want to respect the character in that way. And that's part of the reason they went with Ruby Rose.
Yeah, and if it's Stephanie Beatrice, then cool. Then I would love that to be the case. I don't know if that's going to conflict with her commitments to Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I mean, that's going to end soon, anyways. Let's be honest.
That show's gone on for 3 years post getting canceled. So hey, if another great example, fans hashtagging for something to be brought back, Brooklyn Nine-Nine's the pinnacle of that, at least in regards to television shows. So if it's Stephanie Beatrice, then cool. That'd be awesome. I love her on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. There
was another actress campaigning to be Batwoman too, if I remember correctly.
But this is a big deal only because they dropped after the first season and after they got renewed.
Yes.
It's not like the show's getting canceled.
Right.
The show got renewed for season 2, and here we are, the lead actress just choosing not to come back, which is really weird, especially for these CW shows.
Are they going to write her out? Are they going to write her out?
No, they're just gonna
Replace her.
It's the
Replace
same
her.
character.
Same character.
Okay,
and everything.
that's what I thought. I was just making sure. And
The Magician's Jade Taylor wants to replace her. That's the other actress.
Word.
I've never watched The Magician, so I know nothing about it.
And I would much rather her just drop out and be like, yeah, this is it for me. I'm going to move on to other things than to just, be terrible at her job and the show have to suffer for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's going to be a seamless transition. They're going to act like they may joke and reference. It's like, hey, did you do something with your hair? Like that'd be probably the closest we're going to get to acknowledging it. But it's going to be seamless. We're not going to acknowledge Ruby Rose at all. And yeah, it's pretty much it. I would love to know who's going to.
I have a friend who lives over in the UK who's a big DC Arrowverse fan, and he was talking to me. He's like, "What about all the tattoos she has? Are they just gonna retcon those, or
Yes.
are they gonna do makeup on the person?" I'm like, I don't know, dude. I mean,
Did they make mention to them?
yeah, they did make a few mentions of them throughout the show.
Was it crucial to the
No,
plot?
no, there might have been like one that was. I can't remember completely. I mean, that was earlier in the season. You can watch the entire season on the CW app right now. It will be the first CW show streaming exclusively on HBO Max. And I know all the CW shows that are on Netflix currently in the next couple of years are supposed to move over to HBO Max also. So, but yeah, she wasn't great. She was okay. She got the job done, but I felt everyone in the show acted circles around her, and I was more interested in the plot than her acting, and her acting was detrimental at times, without a doubt. It's still a decent show. I mean, I like watching it for other reasons other than her horrible acting, but I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't torn to shreds when she left.
I think not a lot of people were. It was there were fans of the show that were like, "Yo, dang, that sucks," or fans of her that was like, "Oh, dang, that sucks." But that's gone now. Like it lasted a week, not even a week.
Nick, what are Nick's thoughts on that one?
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. Don't do
He
that.
got none.
No, I mean, like, here's the thing. Here's my big thing is they said that this was stretching from God, I feel like all my points are made by John Campion. But no, I feel like but this is something I actually
No, because they're actually good, Allie.
I feel as though it's good on their end that this happened. And if this has been going on from the beginning, it's really good on their end because I clearly nobody heard anything about this being really that bad. Like nobody was like, "Oh, she's such a problem." No. But they were able to keep their problems to themselves, which a lot of TV shows can't do, and it ends up becoming a huge issue. So, I mean, at least good on CW's end for not, and Ruby Rose's end for not leaking problems. And it'll be, I wonder if like anything is going to be, if word's going to get out as to what the problem is. I'm curious about that, I guess.
The problems were, and they officially came out. The problem was she didn't like being on set for 12 hours. She didn't like the hours that it took to be a lead, and
that's the thing. Is some people can't handle it. She's been okay in the other things. I won't go out of my way to say that I've seen her in every single thing that she's been in, but clearly she can handle being on Orange Is the New Black as a smaller role.
Yeah, so, everything she did up until this point, arguably, are smaller roles.
Exactly. So some people can do it, some people can't. I think that she was extremely popular, and that was one of the reasons why they chose her to be Batwoman. But I mean, nobody is. I just don't. I just applaud it for not being as controversial as it probably could have been. You know what I mean?
And these shows, especially these CW shows, maybe it's why because I hear about them all the time. The leads have to work a butt ton of hours on these shows during these shoots. And I mean, Stephen Amell's talked about it. Grant Gustin's talked about it. Grant's even gone as far as saying like he was going to leave after season 2 because of the workload. And so he's like, you know what? No, this is too good of a job for me to bounce. And he got accustomed to it. And now they're on like season 7 of The Flash, which is nuts to me. But not everybody's like Grant. I understand that. If this wasn't what you signed up for.
If I remember, Stephen Amell was the same way also to begin with.
Yeah, like Stephen would be the first person to tell you how bad he was on set on the early seasons of Arrow. But it's crazy to think that, like, the lead's gone now. We have to recast. But if it's this the way of mutually separating of there's a lot of problems on set, but at the same time she doesn't want to be there. Okay, cool. Now let's just move on.
Right.
Let's not try to throw Ruby Rose under the bus. Let's just recast the character and move forward because Batwoman's supposed to be a pillar. Yeah, she's supposed to be a pillar of these shows going forward, whether you like it or not. I know a lot of people don't like
that show was supposed to replace Arrow. It's supposed to be the dark, gritty show now that Arrow's gone.
Yeah, and if that's the case, then cool. Then get an actress that can do that. And that can be a pillar because Stephen Amell was a big part. He was a big reason why all these shows exist. Mm-hmm. So it's a big workload. Plus, that's their Batman technically, since Batman's not in this universe. It's actually some big shoes to fill. He is, but he isn't. He is, but we don't see him.
In the finale, we got to see who Bruce Wayne is.
Like the actor.
The actor. He's not Batman yet. He's playing a version. He's playing the person.
Hush is wearing Bruce Wayne's face right now.
They're doing Hush on Batwoman?
Yes. Uh-oh. All right, Toby, I'm going to give Chris a moment to think.
They're doing Hush?
Your face has just been like so sucked in and interested. So
I didn't know they were doing Hush on Batwoman. Oh my God. That's so cool. It's Hush.
Toby, what are your thoughts?
I mean, like I mentioned before, I would rather Ruby Rose step aside and be like, yeah, this isn't for me. Go move on to bigger and better things than, just half-ass her way through the show and the show suffer for it and the fans suffer for it, right? So obviously the CW and Warner Brothers would rather have someone who can do the job well and care about it and put in the effort. That way the show can continue on for 7, 8, 9 seasons like we've seen with The Flash and like we've seen with Green Arrow. So I think this was a good move to do this now, only after a season. Because if they were 3-4 seasons deep, they wouldn't be able to do this. It's the fact that it's still very early on in the show. It's still trying to get its footing, so they can drop in another actress, and no one's really going to even care that much. They're still going to watch the show. At least I would think that they would.
Yeah, I think it's going to get improving, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so too. And I don't watch Batwoman. The only CW shows I really watched was Green Arrow and Flash, and I still haven't watched the last season of Green Arrow. And I haven't been spoiled, which is crazy. So
you weren't missing. Wow, it was like a greatest hits album, basically.
And I would expect that, but I really, really enjoyed the show, so I do want to see the greatest hits album.
I mean, it is on Netflix now. So
is it on? Okay, because I hadn't checked it in a while.
I just finally finished this season of Flash, and Flash has been one of those shows that has its peaks and valleys. But how they ended this season was just like really strong and had me interested.
Yeah, I had to stop watching Flash because honestly, it just got very repetitive for me. You know, like just another speedster, really, another one.
Doing that. They stopped doing that like 2 or 3 seasons ago, and it's the first season was in. Last season was pretty good, and then this season is great.
Okay, cool. I mean, I might check them out.
I think next season we're getting Godspeed, which is because
the Frank
of the
Ocean song.
No, but because
Frank Ocean's the big bad of Flash.
But because of the powers that Godspeed possesses, and he's different than any other speedster, really, I'm more interested in that.
See, again, I haven't watched the show in a long time. I got through like season 3 or 4, but like the last speedster villain person was like
Barry.
Was just it's like fast that you couldn't comprehend, right?
Clone
like fast,
Barry.
Yeah, exactly. Like faster than you could even imagine times 1,000. How can they get faster? You can't get faster than that.
Because Barry himself is getting faster. And it's Flash takes.
I don't blame you. Yeah. I don't blame you, Connor. I really.
Flash takes like 7 episodes to like really kick it into gear. I'll say that, and that's one of my favorite CW shows. But no, like what they've done with this season, like. Barry accidentally killed the Speed Force this season. Spoilers. But it's things like that now they're trying to take what Thawne did. You know how Thawne was always faster than him, and part of the reason was because he was able to make his own Speed Force. Now Barry's trying to figure out how to do that for himself, and this, that, and the other. It's stuff like that they're making they're figuring out ways to bring people back in, like me, who I didn't like the villain of season 4 or 5, was it, Chris? The one with the Thinker.
Oh God! Oh,
nah, I can stand that.
Yeah, I think that's where I stopped watching. The guy in the wheelchair.
That was a horrid season. But every season after that has been great.
It dragged forever.
Every season after that has been great.
For a show about a speedster, these seasons of the Flash can go really slow. You know, they can drag.
Yeah, but then Crisis actually reinvigorated the show. So
I can say that.
As much as I bag on Crisis because I thought it was god awful, the Flash got better because of Crisis. Because what Crisis did is it basically hit a reset button on every show. Like it's a soft reboot to where we're still in these shows, but some certain aspects have changed, and so they can bring back certain characters or things like that. So
that's where DC benefits, is that they have a character that can literally reboot their franchises.
This wasn't due
within the thing, and it not even be a big deal.
This wasn't due to the Flash, though. Crisis was this whole big thing.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah,
I don't care about it.
Yeah, but these shows, the CW shows, as much as I hi Nick, as much as I love them, like I would be the first to admit they're cheesy, and Matt put up Connor's comment about how they're all soap operas. Yeah, they are, and it's just my guilty pleasure. Like
guilty pleasures, but at the same time, they're not bad. But you just got to sift through the cheesiness. Okay,
I've watched the worst things, but it's these shows. They're fine, and they fit the demographic of the channel. Like Batwoman was great for the channel, for the CW. So, to go full circle, and apparently, after it premieres on DC Universe, the same thing will happen with STARGIRL. But I haven't seen STARGIRL. Matt and Nick have.
Yeah.
Well done.
Nice transition.
Well done.
What a baby. STARGIRL, if I remember correctly, was actually supposed to be a CW show first.
Yes. Yes.
I can tell you there's no way in hell it's going to be a CW show.
They say ass on it.
Well, not only that,
Oh,
How dare
I
they?
know.
don't tell my mom.
Spoilers. I'm sorry.
the effects that they put into it are
Terrible.
way above they're way above the CW effects. They're not.
Wait, they're terrible, but they're way above the CW's effect.
That's
That's the best way to describe it.
yeah. Like I'm sorry, but Chris and I will both say the CW effects are not good.
Especially on the
they're
Flash.
bad. They're bad.
But it's like this is like movie effects compared to the CW effects. Like this is like, yeah, they're better effects. But it's a pilot episode. The second episode drops at midnight actually, so I'll probably pop on with a review of episode 2 tomorrow. I'm gonna try.
Is every single episode going to be an hour long? Because I'm not.
Yeah,
Oh,
I only wanted you to do the pilot because I know.
No, Nick, you got to watch the whole season. I'm
Oof.
sorry.
Well, it's coming of age, so I can see him getting.
I will, but I don't know.
See, Nick, you're a coming of age nerd like me. Like it's one of my favorite genres of movies or anything really. And this show seemed like it appealed to me. Like I haven't seen it, as I already said, but I'm curious for you guys' takes on Stargirl herself, the character in the world that this is establishing. This crisis, spoiler alert, has set this up to be on a different Earth. So we're not going to get any interactions with the other characters, at least for now. So how the show pan out for you two?
It's a pilot, so I don't expect much out of a pilot except doing enough to catch my interest, which it did.
Yeah.
Luke Wilson is good. I was shocked to see that the original Starman was played by who's the guy?
McHale.
Joe McHale, Jeff Winger on Community.
It's so weird. He's been trying to. I mean, he's
campaigning for a superhero role for the longest, and
it's not even that. He's one of the leads in the Kevin James neo-Nazi movie that's coming out. He's trying to take on more serious roles. It's kind of weird.
Oh, jeez.
That's the thing. Yeah, and that's supposed to be like an Uncut Gems serious thing, by the way.
A comedic actor doing a dramatic role.
That's right.
I would love to see that. But you said he was Starman? He's the OG Starman in this?
The OG Starman. And
Hey,
Luke Wilson
did they
is
Did they mention the Justice Society of America?
How the show starts actually is really interesting. You get this huge battle.
Your microphone just got really loud there. Sorry,
I got really loud actually because of that part excited me.
The Justice Society?
Yeah. How the show starts is you get this really big battle going on between the Justice Society and their arch nemesis, and that really interested me. I mean, granted, you're seeing like all these characters fucking die off, but
ouch,
yeah, spoilers. But like I said, that's the first couple minutes, and with that in mind, I was like, oh, okay, let's see how this goes, and then it goes into this is the coming of age story tropes. Oh, we're moving to a new town, and I'm starting all from the beginning, and it's like, okay, I expected this when it's a show about a teenage girl and she's going to a new town. So me personally, I thought it was okay. It's a pilot. I always give a show 2 to 3 episodes, and we'll see how it goes from there.
Nick, what did you think of it?
Oh my gosh. It was such a long episode. Owen Wilson didn't even say wow. So
What was his brother, Luke Wilson?
Oh, right. Okay. No, that changes it. No, I thought it was all right. I'll be honest, I watched it this morning.
So did I.
After I struggled to type in a Roku password. So I was already kind of pissed off. No, just kidding. It wasn't bad. It was all right. I mean, I don't think it's anything that will draw in like people to the DC streaming service unless they're a fan of like those Arrow type TV shows. But I mean, it was all right. I told Matt this morning that I would be willing to give it another episode. I thought some of the pacing was off. Some of the coloring was atrocious at times. If I had to see another goddamn yellow, I was going to throw something because the yellow, it was like this deep piss yellow that they used for a lot of the scenes, and it looked terrible.
And it was the I forget what it's called, but like the cane thing.
The cosmic theft.
That looked fine.
Yeah.
There was a couple of moments that like I was kind of like, ugh. There's like this key shot that one of the villains.
The key shot was not good at all.
That looked really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly there's no way to do that practically, but when you're using a key that looks like it should have been used to open a castle door from 300 years ago, it could look a little bit better. But I mean, Solomon Grundy's in it, so I'm kind of down for that.
Oh, that's cool.
Love that dude. You know, don't know when I'm ever gonna see him again, but I assume it will be soon.
I mean, after Gotham fucked him in the ass. I mean,
Luke Wilson's kind of like Striped C character, which I'll be honest with you, I was trying to kind of do my research as I was watching this because Matt was just, which is fine. Matt was just kind of like, hey, watch this, we'll review it together. And that's one of the benefits of doing something like this is I could have gone into it and watched it and been like, wow, I'm really excited for this. But it seems all right to me. You know, there was a lot of tropes in it, which didn't feel like they were doing anything different. You know, you got your bitchy people, bitchy high school girls, bitchy high school guys. It's the villain. Spoilers: the villain is like
a teen.
The villain's son is in it, and he.
Which I'm gonna say,
Sky High. What the hell?
I'll say this as someone who knows DC kids and lore, so they make it known that Icicle is going to be a villain in this show.
Cool.
Now, anyone who knows Young Justice knows there's an Icicle Jr. Well, the character Nick's talking about, this key, has a son and he's called Junior. I'm like, oh, awesome. This dude's Icicle. No, it's fucking Brainwave. And I'm like, what?
Dude, they didn't even make Brainwave look like he did in the comics, and Brainwave looks fucked in the comics. So I'm just kind of like I don't like when they make my ugly villains pretty. Like, don't do that.
I was going to actually ask you guys about that.
Brainwave has a giant thumb of a head, and it's gross, and he should have that, but instead they're doing that.
Matt, you mentioned that you were you're a big DC guy. Nick, I didn't know if you were as well, but you said you were trying to research this as you go. Mm-hmm. So did they make you care about Stargirl herself, or was it more of a Justice Society type of gimmick?
Just enough. They make you care about her because of what she's going through, the moving to a new school. But it's those classic tropes. You're like,
I've seen it before. That's why I was starting to be like, not so much. But, you know, I mean, she's not on the gymnastics team. And the
gymnastics team was canceled last year.
Oh, no. And then the stick makes it so she could do gymnastics, which is fantastic. Yeah. You know, she knew how to use her powers way too easily at the beginning, which is a trope of these types of things.
Yeah, I would have said you know how to use them way too easily because the stick was, at least the first time the stick was.
The stick clearly is coaching her through a couple of things.
It's like a Blue Beetle type situation.
Yeah, one of the last shots of the episode is her falling and then doing the trick she was trying to do, and I hate stuff like that. I mean, it you know, that's one of the reasons why I like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man movies. Is because it did feel a little bit more real at times. He didn't just pick up on knowing how to use his powers, kind of like Tobey Maguire's did. And where the hell are those spider webs even going? Like, they can't just keep shooting on forever, but apparently they do. You know, I always wondered that playing Spider-Man for the GameCube was where are the spider webs going when I'm just
feel any better in Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man video game, you were actually just able to swing shooting into the sky. So
see, and that's gross. But my point is, like, at least in the movies, you know, it took him a second to kind of figure out what he was doing. And that's kind of why I like those movies. Like, my big thing was, and I'll be honest with you, the ending of the first episode felt like it was the third act of a movie. I felt like I could have gotten a Stargirl movie and they could have just kept pumping these out if they really needed to. You know what I mean?
And the ending of the episode felt like the beginning of a third act because it was
yes, you meet the it felt like the meet the villain moment in a movie, and that's why I was kind of like, does this work as better as a movie? I don't know, and
that's a bad thing that all CW superhero shows do. Really, all CW, at least the ones that I watch, like the Riverdales and the Flashes and the Legends, they all do that. They all tend to set up the villain right at the end of the episode. Shit, they do that with their cliffhangers.
I'll say this: they set the villain up like towards the middle-ish. It was, but you had the villain, the villain then communicate with the other villain, and then take care. You need to take care of this, and then she has her little moment with the staff, and then we get her against the villain, and yeah.
Dude, I got to turn my Roku into a fish tank. Sorry, I just got distracted.
So you guys loved Stargirl? So
fantastic!
I liked it.
Cool. Owen Wilson, Lightning McQueen was great in it. I loved it.
My favorite show.
No, but I was curious because Stargirl was something on my radar, and I was, like I said before, like I like Arrow, Legends, The Flash.
Yeah, I knocked out my HDMI cord. That was my bad.
Okay.
So
we
I
fell into something on the horror show that I am going to mention on here. It's like
shots are really scared.
Absolutely. Shout out to Taylor and Connor and really scared.
Which there's a chance that this episode their episode on Thursday either gets pushed back to 9 or moved to Saturday. That is still in the works.
Follow the socials for more updates.
Yes,
absolutely. But like, you know, I somebody had made a point that I completely agree with on that show, is that like when we were going through our would you watch it, would you not watch it at the end, I will never ever tell somebody not to watch something. And that's kind of when your point, you're like, oh, it's on my radar, I'm not sure if I wanted to see it. You know, if I don't like it, that doesn't mean that it's a terrible TV show, you know what I mean? So I would recommend go watch it. You know, if you're into it, definitely we can do more reviews on
like
it.
a 1 week free rental of DC Universe. If I'm telling people to watch stuff, that if I'm going to rank it based off of all the DC Universe content there is, I'm going to say Doom Patrol, Harley Quinn, Doom Patrol, Titans, Young Justice, and then this is probably the bottom of it. But I'm a DC guy first and foremost, even though I have all the Marvel shit behind me. You can ask Nick. Our house has DC art in it, so like that's what I prefer. I always say this: DC has nailed television while Marvel's nailed movies.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That might change though,
and I expect it to, honestly, because of what's going on right now with Disney Plus. But
that's what Stargirl does to you, man.
Yeah, it's. I'm gonna watch. Like I said, what I do is I always give a show 2 to 3 episodes. But in my case, I also have a girlfriend who really is into shows that showcase the women as heroes and this, that, and the other. So I'm probably gonna end up watching the entire series because she was interested in it. Granted, I told her, I'm like, yo, sorry, I got you. We tried to watch this the other day and we got pulled aside. I got to watch this before tonight. But overall, I did enjoy it enough to where I'm going to catch the next episode. And yeah.
What's the tone like? Is it more like Flash, or it's like bright and cute and colorful and everybody's cute?
Pause.
It changes every once in a while. Like
Flash,
at some points you'll get a happy shot. At some points you'll get a very ugly yellow shot. And I'm serious. Like these shots you'll randomly see, and then you'll wonder why they were shot that way or edited that way.
You'd hate watching Smallville because it's a ton of yellows.
I mean, like Matt and I were watching, or Matt was watching Into the Heart of the Sea once when I was coming over, and I went, ugh. And then I realized that the movie is supposed to be taking place, you know, obviously back in the day, and maybe I could give it a pass for that. This, I mean, if I'm going to be honest with you, like, I always thought of the Justice Society as being like a back in the day type of thing. They didn't really make Luke Wilson look any younger. I can't figure out when this TV show takes place.
It takes place nowadays, so the Justice Society, and that was a 10-year time jump. So the Justice Society was early 2000s-ish.
Because I always thought the Justice Society was like old.
Same, because the way that picture they show the Justice Society and made you even feel like it was old.
You were thinking Watchmen when you saw it, right? Yeah.
But
it's like, and I only know Watchmen as taking place in the past until the TV show came out. So.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think people associate the Justice Society with, because that's like the Alan Scott Green Lantern, right. You know.
Yeah,
so
the Jay Garrick Flash.
Yeah, so it probably like it's like golden age DC. So I mean, that's what I always associated it as until recently.
And if you're looking forward to those characters appearing, be ready to see them in a picture, and that's it.
Oh, you get to see some of them. You get to see some of them early on. You just see them die.
Right, but I don't remember seeing Green Lantern or Flash. I just saw them in that picture.
No, yeah, and I wouldn't expect to see them in
you
the
saw
show.
Flash's crushed helmet.
Oh, ouch! That's dark.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't
right in the beginning when Stripesy was pulling Starman away.
Hey, okay. Toby.
Yes.
Who's your favorite member of the Justice Society of America?
Oh, I mean, definitely Laser Boy. He's definitely my favorite.
Dr. Fate.
I love what I
Not
love about
Green
Laser
Lantern.
Boy. What I love about
Laser
Laser Boy is that, you know, obviously he's only 13 years old, so he's really young. He doesn't really know what he's doing in terms of being a superhero. But he can shoot lasers out of his ears. Like that's a superpower. I mean, we all know that. I don't need to explain it. But not a lot of people can do that, right? And so, you know, the Justice Society, they rely on him to really be the frontline guy. Like, hey, shoot your lasers. You know, knock out the first, you know, line of defense, and then the rest of the
wants to tear Toby a new one right now.
No, keep going.
And then the rest, and then the rest of the Justice Society can come in behind him and kind of clean up, you know, whatever he left for everybody else.
Up. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sweet.
absolutely.
Thanks, Toby. That's all I want to know.
Dude, that dude goes number 3.
Chris,
Shits out his ears.
you look like you want to. You look like you have some anger you want to get off.
I expected nothing less. I'll say that. But no, I'm glad you guys at least enjoyed it enough to give it another shot. Because I mean, these CW shows can be hit or miss sometimes.
See, and that's honestly why I've started to prefer Titans and Doom Patrol, because you know how people loved how dark and gritty that the Netflix shows of Marvel were?
Mm-hmm.
That's the equivalent of what you get on the DC Universe app besides Stargirl. Stargirl's like the first non-dark and gritty show. Well, non-dark and gritty live action show, because Doom Patrol's funny, but it is dark and gritty at times still.
Yeah. Plus, those characters are just they're meant to be in a show like that.
Harley Quinn, it's a cartoon, but it's still dark, gritty, and fucked up, and I love every minute of it. And I implore you, if you have a free week, which Chris, I know you probably do, Toby, I know you probably do. Well, you're in Indiana, you guys are still like slowly.
Ouch! I get it. It sucks. It doesn't suck that bad.
No, I was talking about you're slowly opening up still. I implore you to.
Yes, I do have time to watch these shows.
No, I was about to say, I implore you to take the time to watch Harley Quinn, the animated show.
I've been wanting to, yeah.
And if I remember correctly, the DC app has a free 1-week trial, so you could knock that show out in a week. Actually, you could probably knock that show out in a day, and it's totally worth it.
Is Laser Boy and Harley Quinn?
Oh boy, I hope so. I'll definitely watch if Laser Boy's in it.
Oh, but Kite Man and Condiment King are.
My man.
It's crazy how Laser Boy.
Also, if the phrase "my man" is taken out of the Snyder Cut, I'm gonna cancel my DC or my HBO now. So, anyways, sorry. that's my takeaway.
What a way to go full circle.
Yeah,
I forgot we talked about that earlier.
Yeah, you know.
But no, I implore everyone who is interested in Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn is probably part of the reason I didn't like Birds of Prey as much as I did. Because that show started before Birds of Prey. And that, I saw that show, I'm like, this is what Birds of Prey could have been.
That's not fair. You can't say that. Because it's like me going into Harley Quinn and being like, but this isn't Tara Strong's Harley Quinn. Like,
No. What I mean by that is the tone. I'm not talking about, like, Margot Robbie's fantastic as Harley Quinn. I'm talking about the tone and things that are done in the show. Like, we talk about, I didn't say Birds of Prey is bad, though, Connor. I did not.
Birds of Prey rocks.
I just didn't like it as much as I wish I did. That's all I was saying.
Plus, Birds of Prey isn't a Birds of Prey movie. It's a Harley Quinn movie.
1000%.
Let's announce that. So
yeah, and that's why I'm saying, like, I see what's been done with the Harley Quinn show. Oh, Birds of Prey is not insane compared to this show. Pause. Go watch the show. It makes Birds of Prey look tame.
Do you like Harley Quinn the show just because it's adult and and we're saying the F word and we're making fun of everybody, is it?
It's funny, it's intelligent. Even the action pieces in the show are great. And
some cool ass action pieces in Birds of Prey, I'd say.
Yes, there is. But like this season, she's going on the hunt for all the villains who wronged her, and it's incredible. It's hilarious. Last season was about her proving that she belongs in the Legion of Doom because she broke up with Joker and she was trying to prove that she's her own woman. Similar.
That's about to say that sounds a lot like Birds of Prey.
And that's why I'm comparing the two.
They're really incomparable, though, because they're made by two completely different teams, and one's animated, one's live action. Yeah. One could be part of a universe, one could not be. Yeah. Like, we still don't really know. So it's really kind of hard.
What do you mean the rated? It's R-rated. It's an R-rated show, just like Birds of Prey was an R-rated movie. Probably. I don't know because it is streaming, so streaming has those weird ratings. But yeah, I'd say it's TVMA. Let me go to the DC app real quick.
TV Ma.
Yeah, TV Ma. Speaking of Ma, I already forgot that girl that looked like Margaret Qualley, but she's in that movie Ma. Taylor was here. Last week we talked about this. Taylor, if you're entering the group chats.
Harley Quinn is TVMA, Connor. They're dropping F-bombs. There's blood everywhere. Like, only one word has ever been bleeped out on that show, and that's "see you next Tuesday."
Are you talking about Diana Silver?
Yes, she's
You're
a book
welcome.
smart. Thank you.
But yeah, only it's Connor. I know you. I showed you the trailer for Doom Patrol, and you're like, all right, when HBO Max comes, I'll watch it. Harley Quinn on the DC Universe app, it blows Birds of Prey out of the water.
Or Connor, if you want to wait a couple more months, DC Universe won't even exist.
Yeah,
so
give it like 6 to 8 months. It's or
that shit out of existence.
Yes, but yeah,
dark side.
But no, guys, I want to thank you for coming on. We've hit our 2-hour mark. Nick, I'll see you downstairs in a few minutes.
I'll be there for a hug.
Chris, Toby, thank you guys for coming on. I love talking to you as always. Remember, Wednesday, new Spin from the Reel with myself and Chris. Next Sunday, I believe we have an interview set up with director Keith Collins of Assassin's Game. I almost called it Maximilian.
And Rumble TV.
Yes. So we're going to, I got to check with him and make sure we're still doing that. But we have an interview with him, and I hope to get more or hear more about Assassin's Game. And I know it's supposed to isn't it supposed to be out like this week or something?
Soon.
Okay. I remember like end of May originally was the thing, but I didn't know what happened with COVID and everything. So we're going to talk to him about that. We're going to talk to him about him as an actor because he does do acting. He was in, Chris, I know you watched Johnny Short Wuxia.
Yeah.
So he was in the original Wuxia. Who was he, Nick? I know he was the boss of the gang, but
Earth.
I think he was
Earth.
The shorter black dude who was just kicking ass.
Okay.
He was in the if you're looking for some research or just people who are watching, he's one of the leads in the Doctor Who fan series. The full thing is up on the MDI Film YouTube channel. He's in Wuxia 2, which is also being released soon. He makes appearances in Inner Self, if you've seen that, but not a lot.
He has a short that he did that was hilarious about eating bad bread.
Yes,
or cheese or whatever it was.
A nasty sandwich and the outcome of that. But
yes, but Connor, to your point, you said you'll watch Doom first. I will tell you this: you can watch. It will take you a week to watch Doom Patrol. It literally, because of how they're only 20-minute episodes, it takes a day to watch Harley Quinn. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for everyone who tuned in. Thank you to the crew as always for coming on. Toby, we got to get you on Saber Reels one day.
Absolutely.
I need to talk Star Wars with you.
You see my shirt?
Yeah. I haven't been able to talk Star Wars with you since Celebration. So like,
oh, I know. I mean, we do it on this. We do it on this show.
I'm talking about in depth. Like,
yeah,
Toby is one of the people I really wanted on the Clone Wars finale episode, and he was busy, unfortunately.
It's okay, Nick. We can do our new show, Wrestling is Real, where we just talk about everything.
It's still real to me. Damn it! That's what we got to name it.
Damn, that's good.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Yeah, and that is a show that is still in talks. That is Chris and Nick got to work out those details.
Yeah, no thanks.
I thought I had a.
Oh, you're not a wrestling guy, Toby?
No, I'll do a UFC show by myself. That's cool. Because that's a sport.
Ooh.
Never said it was a sport. It's entertainment.
Okay, I agree with you. No, it's entertainment.
Yes.
But it also is a sport because they're doing everything.
Yeah.
I mean, they do everything in TV shows. That's
Britt
doesn't
Baker
mean
just
that
hurt
they're
herself
sport.
on Dynamite this past
All
Wednesday.
right, before everyone starts slitting each other's throats, I'm gonna end this stream. Have a good night, guys.
Bye, guys.